Hey folks, welcome to Kaiser's Castle. Take a seat on my big orange couch. Pop yourself a nice coffee, tea, soda, or adult libation. And we're going to have a nice discussion on whatever is spur of consciousness between myself and Baz. So sit down, relax, chill out, and enjoy this brief conversation we're going to have. Hey Baz, how you doing today, brother?
Yeah, not so good, brother. Not so good. Yeah, I'm fine, brother. Yourself?
Not so good, but fine. Okay. I'll take that.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay,
Tongue
okay.
twister.
That's hilarious.
I,
Love
I haven't
how.
been drink. I haven't been drinking.
Not yet. We'll open one and maybe you'll fucking be more untongue tied. Jesus Christ! I almost said tongue tied. Now it's
You twat.
infectious. Yeah, I am a righteous twat, right? So, anyways,
Uh,
where you want to go with today on the combo? You let me know, and we're gonna deep dive into the deep bullshit.
I think what we were going to finish off the questions from the individual that got in touch with you, just on the sort of survivalist, the sort of shit, the fan scenarios. We were going to touch briefly on sort of our thoughts and our opinions on firearms because you did ask about firearms and things like that.
Right.
And we'll look at it from a couple of different angles. We can look at it from a couple of different angles, but I think the main one we'll look at is from as a tool because that's what it's going to be in a survivalist situation. It's going to be primarily a tool um, to keep yourself alive, to keep your family alive, and those again who were on the journey with you or in a situation where you're going to be carrying some kind of firearm.
Oh yeah. If that's the choice they want to make, that's a choice that they can take. Um, Here's the thing that I think, and you can jump in anytime you want to correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not on this. Look, everybody has a sticky wet masturbational fantasy of civil war or some bullshit like that, right? Zombie apocalypse, whatever. The reality, the larger reality is, uh, you want to think about game getting something to put in your crock pot, something to eat. Um, Two-legged problems can be handled the same way as four-legged. And what I mean by that, if you look up FBI stats, the first stat that you'll find is the number one handgun that kills the most people every year in the United States, and that is 22 rimfire, be it pistol, rifle, whatever. Uh, there'll be a lot will say, "Oh, that's underpowered. That is well, okay." FBI stats say otherwise. If it's a well-placed shot, it's a well-placed shot. On the four-legged, people say, "Well, you can't get no deer with that." Well, in Ohio, where I'm from, the game wardens will tell you what's the most popular cartridge that kills and these poachers kill deer with. Well, it's a usually a 22 rimfire, and that's usually the 1022 by Ruger. And it's about shot placement, folks. And so, what you need to think more about, and even like with me, I don't know about you, Baz, but when I come back from a job, you develop all kinds of bad habits, you know. And the only way to self diagnose, if you're not out there with the spotter and with people that tell you, hey, this is how you're shooting, this is how you're shooting, 22, because you're not going to flinch. You're not going to blink away. The recoil is not going to be a factor. Is you get behind a 22 pistol and a 22 rifle and you fix yourself when you come back. Because everybody, I know, Baz, you and I both think we look so cool on the Groucho. We're moving so perfectly with the bullets flying by our heads. In reality, here's what's happening. We're moving up, down, sideways, looking like morons because I've seen the dash cam footage of me under fire, but I still survived, right? But weapons handling gets sloppy, um, because you're improvising, you're adapting, you're overcoming to the realities on the ground. And that's kind of important factor to look at. Um, if you want something of higher caliber, I get that. You carry what you feel comfortable with. Here's the problem: always have first 22 rounds are cheap. Long rifle, 22 long rifle rounds are cheap. They go in both the carbine. They also go into, you know, the pistol, and they're cheap. So that should be your first purchase, and your first primary concern is about game getting, and hopefully you never have to pull the trigger on a true two-legged uh, varmint, because that's a whole different legal issue and all that other shit. So your thoughts, Baz? Run with it.
Yeah, it's certainly, again, over here in the UK, we've got slightly different gun laws and all that stuff. But the 22 rimfire is a very, very popular gun. Um, and again, because of we've got a smaller nation than you, and if you want to go start shooting like elk or deer, or you know what I mean, I'm talking deer of a decent size, like stag size and stuff like that. It's in the Highlands of Scotland and places like that where you can actually employ sort of larger calibers, you know. And like I say, the gun laws over here will allow us to own up and including two um, anti-material rifles, you know, bolt action anti-material rifles. Um, but again, an anti-material rifle or a 50 cal rifle is pretty much it's got one use and one use only, and that's for punching through lots of cover. That's no good when you're hunting game, because you're always not going to be hitting elk or deer of a
Yep.
certain size. You know, you're going to be shooting most of the time. You're going to be shooting small game, rabbits and things like that. You hit them with anything bigger than a 223, you're just turning them inside out, and you're basically scraping it all up into a bag. You know, so again, it's that difference between keeping yourself alive, fed, and healthy, and protected, or looking fucking cool with your AR-10, your AR-15 with all the bells and whistles on it. That pretty much is useless apart from looking cool or engaging targets. You know, on a range, because again, you've got to be comfortable with a firearm. So the 2-2, again, for a survivalist situation, it's the perfect weapon system. When I say weapon system, not as like an aggressive weapon, but it's a perfect tool, let's call it, because the rounds are cheap, the rounds are light, so you can carry lots of them. There's very sort of small like recoil. There's very short, small report, especially if you've got a decent suppressor on there. And it's so simple and easy to use and lightweight. And like I say, recoil's nearly non-existent. The
Right.
report's
Well,
nearly non-existent. So you can teach those with you, women and children, to also operate this tool. So if you're incapacitated for some reason, or if you've got more than one, then more than one person can carry it. You know,
right.
and whatever you
One
hit with
thing.
it, it's got if it's got that knockdown power. Go on.
One thing I'll say is there is such a round for 22 cal, point 22 cal. Um, it's called a CB cap, CB round, and you don't need a suppressor. That's the interesting thing about a 22. If you fire a CB cap, it sounds like a pellet rifle, and neighbors won't even notice it. They'll just think some kid fired a pellet round. It's very low energy. Now, cyclically, you're gonna have some problems with, extraction and feeding. But as long as you know that's the issue, now in a revolver type pistol, that's not an issue at all because it's not even a function. It's not gonna actuate anything. But like anything that needs to rely on blowback or gas to move the bolt forward and back, that can be an issue.
Could have
So,
issues.
your thoughts?
Yeah, because it's a low pressure round. Yeah, being a low pressure round.
Right.
You still there?
Yeah,
Still there,
yeah,
bro?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I just added that stuff in real quick so that you could comment on it and keep riffing, dude. That was the only thing I did.
Yeah, yeah. It's important to choose what weapon system you use, primarily as a tool to keep yourself fed and keep yourself alive through sort of times where you can't just go to the store and pick up tin goods or fresh food. You're gonna have to start living off the land. If you want to start thinking of self defense, then um, the 2-2 is a very good round. But again, when it comes to body armor and things like that, because if you want about civil war or taking on the government in inverted commas, then 2-2 is not going to do it. But like we said on that previous show, body armor nowadays is designed to stop steel cord rounds, or to a certain extent. So if you're thinking about taking on, this sticky wet fantasy that you're going to be taking on an oppressive government, you're going to have a bad time, even with 5.56 and things like that. So without digressing onto that bullshit, what you're going to think of is if you are going to take out or take on a two-legged sort of, like you said, vermin or an oppressor or an assailant, then it's
Or
going to come down
predator,
to
right?
where you yeah, or a predator, where you put that shot, and that only comes with experience and time spent on the range. But like I say, it's that's time spent on the range is all well and good, shooting targets and plinking targets and yada yada yada, like you see on Facebook and things like that. But when there's rounds slapping into the ground next to you, or woe betide hitting you or people around you, it's a different scenario, And when your adrenaline's flowing, your hands are shaking, you're sweating, trying to get around onto a target that's probably moving or engaging you or in cover is quite difficult, especially follow up shots with recoil. Because let's be honest, unless you're an SF operator that's got this down to muscle memory, every shot that you take, your weapon placement, your weapon hold might not be correct. The butt might not be in the shoulder. The position you're in, you maybe shoot round the corner or shoot round the cover or undercover, whatever. What you've got to think of is
Right.
they're trained to do that day in, day out. And the chances are they've done that in a real scenario where there is rounds snapping past their heads. So the 2-2 again, because of its very low recoil, follow up shots are a lot easier, especially if you've got a semi automatic. Follow up shots are a lot easier. So again, rapid but accurate shots into a target are going to be a lot easier with something with smaller report and recoil than rocking a cool as fuck AR-10 with all the bells and whistles, where your first shot might blow a chunk of cover off next to them, but your third, fourth, and fifth shot have sailed over the top of them because of you just wanted to get as much fire down as possible. You know, so
And
that's my 10 pence worth. Of that.
well, yeah, no, I get it. And the other part of the equation is you're responsible for every round fired. So let's say you're out deer hunting,
Sure, yeah,
okay? And all of a sudden the recoil and the follow up shot goes high. Well, how far is it going to go? Will it go to a neighbor's house where a little girl, a wife, or a husband are out there, you know, working on the car, doing something else, trying to survive? He's trying to, and all of a sudden you hurt them. Uh, well, first off, you just made an enemy. Second off, you just were a fuck up. And it's the same thing with the 9mm 45 debate. You and I both carried both calibers. And the reality of that debate is so ignorant to me, always. It really pisses me off
yeah,
mostly because
yeah.
it
And it's
is,
always that two trains of thought of capacity versus stopping power. You're getting
yes,
you get a 9mm or a 45 through the face or the brainstem or the throat, or even in the chest. You know what I mean? A certain area of the chest. It doesn't matter who you're going down. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And if you've shot somebody once with any pistol caliber, they're worth shooting again.
yeah,
That's why we teach double tap or triple tap or whatever.
yeah,
You engage that target until it's no longer a threat. So but I've got 12 rounds versus my 8 rounds or whatever. It doesn't really matter, because if I'm shooting someone with a 9mm, they're going to get shot until I either run out of ammunition or they've stopped being a threat. If I'm shooting someone with a 45, Same detail.
Same deal.
Just because I'm not going to think to
Just
myself,
means it just
I'm
means you
carrying a
have to.
Springfield 1911. I'm not going to stop shooting because I know I've got that stopping power. Fuck off!
Just
You're getting drilled until you're
yeah,
shitting blood on the
yeah.
floor.
Just here's the thing. The only difference is you're changing mags more often. And,
Mm.
45, you're changing because there's lesser capacity, even with the Glock. I'm a Glock fan. I'm also a fan of the M&P. And they both come in 45 and 9. The thing is, um, other guns too, I mean, like SIGs, different things, but they all come in all these variants. And then, of course, there's the 40 and the 10 millimeter. We can go into that debate, but that's always bullshit. The point being is the reality of this situation. It doesn't matter the type of tool. You're not going to just pump one round at anybody. If you are using a revolver, if you think it's not as quick as if you can't reload it as quick as you can with a semi-auto, you're an idiot. Look at Jerry Michalak. He's not alone. I have revolvers. I can speed load just as well as he can, not as fast. Makes um, that man makes a revolver look like a semi-auto. By the way, he dumps. He's got his shit down more pat than I do, but he's older than I am, and he's been doing it with just revolvers his whole life, and he will compete against semi-autos on ranges, three gun matches. It doesn't matter. He will use a revolver, and the man can shoot. It's always about shot placements. A buddy of mine who I was with First FSG MP Company, Brian Zenz. Uh, Everybody will remember that name from Top Shots. Uh, Brian's an awesome dude. We were pretty close friends. He's from Ohio, and haven't talked to him for I don't know a couple years now. But the fact remains is he was in my unit, and that man was gifted with a lot. And he's a 12-time Grand National champion with shooting, and he broke down the science to everybody in the unit in MP Company First FSG. So there you go. That's facts, and that's no bullshit, and that's me talking to you, brother. Yourself?
Yeah. It's like I say, it's putting that time in on the range, learning how your tool is. I mean, it works when it's not working. It's learning the intricacies of every weapon system different. You get the out of the box, and it might be indiscernible. You put a few thousand round through your Glock, then you put a few thousand round through my Glock, and then you can see that the two separate weapon systems, and it's all about how you carry them, how you clean them, how the rounds that you fire, just the way that you handle that pistol, or handle that rifle, or handle whatever. It's like driving a car. You can drive a fucking, I don't know, just any random car, and I can buy one off the same lot, the same day, exactly same spec, and 2 years later they'll drive completely different because of the way that they've been handled, the way that they've been maintained, and the way that they've been driven. So it's learning the nuances of each tool. You know, um, Obviously a soldier, um, and use different weapon systems all the time. Your own personal weapon system, again, it's a part of your body, and that's what you're aiming to do. Is make that thing there like a pair of your boots or your favorite knife. It's not just there to look scary and to point at people when they're getting a bit close. It's there to again, the more things that you can do with that weapon system, the better. It's not just there to be a deterrent. It's there to keep you alive and those around you alive. And again, it's a good teaching tool as well because again, you might be going back to that sort of survivalist situation. You need to teach others how to use this weapon system. Just in case you can't. So it's again, it's another tool to keep those people alive because you aren't going to be around forever, and you can teach those to keep them alive, if you know what I mean. So it's important. It's as good as any knife, but if you can't shoot and you're not maintaining it, then guess what? It's going to be useless quite quickly. Also, if you start picking these like quite strange ammunition sort of calibers, like 9mm quite prevalent. Um, 5.56 prevalent, 2.2 rimfire. But you start going down like with like the 40, the point 40, or you start banging out 300 blackout or 6.5 Creedmoor or something like that. These rounds are a lot more difficult to get hold of unless you're next door to the Creedmoor processing plant where you can just get in there and get crates and crates of these things. So again, it's all about common sense as well, brother.
Oh yeah, and availability and logistics. I mean, that's all a factor. Now we're done with that. So I think we've answered the last of the questions on that. Where do you want to go from here, brother?
Yeah, I think let us say what we've done on everything that we've touched on the past few shows. Again, like you said, that's our opinion, and our opinion is just that it's our own opinion. People might completely disagree and go, "This limey fucker doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about." Yes and no. We've done our time in different places. We've been in different situations where, guess what? We're still alive. You know what I mean? What we've done is obviously the right thing. You know what I mean? You can only be lucky so many times, if you know what I mean. So take that with a pinch of salt. We're still around to tell the tale. So what we've applied and what we've done has worked for us, but it's what works for those people out there. And if it works for you, then fair play to you.
Exactly. And remember, it's not just us. Here's the fucked up part that nobody wants to talk about. The Mafia. What do they use? 22. You know, and we're not just talking about La Cosa Nostra. We're talking about the Russian Mafia. A lot of other mafias use that round too. It's lower in report. And look, there was an old meme. You probably remember this meme back in the day, brother, where it said, "Beware the old man in a game where most people die young." And
Yeah.
that's kind of true. And with that being said, we're not trying to blow up our egos. And look, I'm expert. Baz and everybody on my channel already knows this. I'm the foremost expert on my own opinion. That's it. I hate experts. Experts are always morons. I'll listen to some on some things, but I'll also use my discernment to find out, well, maybe that's not so much true. Anyway, so that's my 2 cents. Your thoughts?
Yeah, just again, if you just take what we've said and you pick out the bits that you agree with and you try and apply them to your own practices and your own skills and drills, and who knows, you might improve on things. Let us know if you've got a different way of doing things or different opinions, and we could, you know what I mean? We like to pick apart our own shit because at the end of the day, self criticism it can only make you a better operator, soldier, man, manager, family man, father, mother, sister. You know, it,
Exactly.
someone's always got an opinion. Someone's always got an opinion, and that opinion might be worth something, or it might be worth shit. It's up to you to filter through that and then choose what you want to take away from it and apply to your own into your own lives.
And always, just realize that everybody that's saying something to you, uh, be mindful if they're trying to sell you something. Um, me and me and Baz, we're not selling you nothing. We'll talk about something a little later that's pretty cool. A guy who makes custom knives at an affordable price, but that's all we're gonna. And we're not trying to sell you on that. We're just talking about the quality of his workmanship. And I'm always a fan, being a sword point, just like spear points are. bladed weapons do not need reloaded. They just need sharpened. And so, with that being said, do you want to bounce into that or no at this point, Baz? It's up to you. You're running the program.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not one for shameless plugs and things like that, but what I'd like to do is just let everybody aware of a good friend of mine, a brother I've served with, who's out of the military now, as I am, and he started quite a while ago making custom knives. It started off as a hobby to help with sort of like PTSD and things like that. And he's become quite an adept at it, and he's very open to sort of suggestions and commissions and things like that. You want an idea, you hit him up with this idea, and he'll give you his all in making it and making you satisfied with the blade. If you go to usually on social media, which Facebook or YouTube, dies in every film's customs, dies in every film customs, and just give his page a like. Just just say, "Oh, Baz has just pointed me towards your page. I know you might see something that you like,
Yep.
and hopefully, he's ship him a few dollars, give him a few dollars. He accepts PayPal, and get one of his knives because they are top quality. I actually got one of his very first knives he made, and I use it as quite a heavy duty survival knife. You might probably see it on one of his YouTube videos, one of the very first ones, a good few years ago. I've still got that knife, and it's still got its edge. I've not sharpened it once. Just a really heavy, good chopper. But now he's making a lot sort of like kitchen knives, bespoke kitchen knives, and things like that, bespoke survival knives. But again, he'll happily take any ideas or commission, and go for it. I'm having a couple of knives made, one for myself and one for Shuff. So hopefully at some point, Shuff will be able to put up a picture of these two knives together.
Oh, yeah, that's going to happen. Here's the thing, we are doing this. Here's the funny thing, uh, people don't realize in the backscatter of everything, there is a brotherhood. And some think they understand a brotherhood, but they don't. And that's because they haven't been through the fire together and haven't known each other for a long time and experienced things. Um, I'm very open about my shit. Baz, not so much because he can't be right now. And that's okay. But we've given you guys as much as we can from our back experience. Um, we're not mentors at all on this page. Uh, we're trying to give you advice. Find your own mentor. Find your own mentor. It ain't me. It's not Baz. I've got all the mentees I need, and I'm sure Baz does too. And but the primary part of my page always is about if you're older and you've experienced something. I don't care if you're a businessman, whatever, and you see some youth with some promise, you help that youth. You mentor them. And it's the same thing in this game. And it is the ultimate game. Um, it's your duty, actually, to make your nation better, to help them, you know? So that's my 2 cents on that and your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I agree, brother. I agree. And it's also helping those out in your circle, those around you that are striving out there, they're stepping out and they're trying to do something with their lives. They're trying to do something to make, you know what I mean? Not so much money, but they're doing something, you know. And I think if
Exactly.
if they're happy for you, you know what I mean. Bring attention to that because the more people, and you never know what can come from that. You know, there's millions and millions of success stories out there of small localized ideas that all of a sudden are now, you know, global conglomerates. You know, I mean, just something as small. I mean, we've all seen, like, especially those who have served abroad and things like that. Hesco Bastion, the wire baskets that we build our forward operating bases out of, that was actually designed by a family or a guy in Yorkshire, where I'm from in the UK. And first of
Yep.
all, it was just something that they were using on building sites. You know what I mean? They were filling them full of rubble. Then all of a sudden, it was like, hang on, this has got more applications, this, than just using on building sites to, I don't know, fill in fucking holes or whatever they were using it for. And now HESCO, the company, is a multi-billion pound corporation, you know.
And the U.S.
Unfortunately,
the U.S.
the owner
military
of that
used
and the
them.
inventor of that died. Yeah.
And the U.S.
Again, it's
military
used all over
used
the
them.
world.
Yeah, they're used everywhere
Yeah.
for defensive purposes. Um, and also, like you said, removal of clutter. Um, these are just facts. But, facts in this day and age really don't matter, right?
No, it's just like, again, it's all down to that narrative, what people want you to believe. But again, I think it's our responsibility to, if you know someone is amongst all this clutter of shit, you know, and they're doing something special, then bring attention to that. If they're happy with that, bring attention to it, so it can rise above this shit and say, look, everybody, you're getting this, you're getting that, you're giving that. You know, look at this guy, he's doing it better quality. You might pay a little more, but guess what? You're gonna get something special. That's our blood, sweat, and tears put into it. You know what I mean? And it's designed and made with care, you know. And this person cares about, right. This is what I've made you with my own hands. This is what I've made you in my garage, in my workshop, or in my kitchen, or whatever. I've made you this, and I'd like you to have it. Please tell me how it does, how it operates, or your verdict on that, rather than just buying it and opening a packet. You know, so the more that you can bring attention to that, the better, because again, it's just helping each other out. It's helping each other out, and there's a lot of people that we know, brother, on certain like social media sites that put things out there that we'd love to bring attention to, but at the moment in time, these people don't want that attention, you know. And as soon as they say, "Look, get this out there," you know, if you can make people aware of this or get hold of this, you know what I mean? It's our responsibility to do so. If you've got a platform to help people out, then guess what? It's I see it as sort of a duty, an
It
honour bound
is.
duty to those that we've fought with, served with, and the people that we care about.
No, you're exactly right. It is our honor bound duty. And, everybody can talk all the smack they want about honor and whatever. But the fact remains is honor is measured in a whole lot more than I agree with you. It's measured in what did I do? And just because you may not know the facts of what I do doesn't mean that was. Look, as you and I both know, if you're not doing anything illegal, immoral, and unethical, you're still bound by honor. And that's just the reality of this shit. So it is what it is. And we've had an awesome conversation. So I'll let you close it out, Baz, with whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, so it's always good to come on the shows, brother, and just talk shit. You know what I mean? Talk shit. It's I don't know what the listeners think. Having a Brit speak on things like the Second Amendment and American politics, and like I've always said, if you think I'm talking shit, let me know. You know, or let Shuff know, and he can relay it on. I have very broad shoulders and I've got a very tough chin. You know, as in when it comes to criticism. If I'm talking shit, please let me know. But of all the shit that we can fire back at each other, like 1776 and all this stuff, and we just say, okay, then, yeah, you might have won that one, but we burnt your shit down in 1812 and all the banter, you know. I've worked with a lot of brothers and sisters from the US, from your Force Recon to your 82nd Airborne, your Marines, your fifth and seventh groups, you know, and I've out of the hundreds, maybe even thousands of US service personnel I've worked with over the years, I've not come across many bad ones, you know. And the bad ones,
Yep.
I'm not going to start naming and shaming units or branches or anything like that, because there's good and bad in all. and again, it's outside of the military as well. In the civilian world, there's good and bad. There's the informed and there's the ignorant, the left and the right.
It's the 1%.
Of all colours.
Yeah, and the
Yeah, the
1%.
1%. That, it's just these days that 1% seems to be more than that 1%, especially when it comes to social media, because it's done in an anonymous forum, where you think you can say something on the internet behind the safety of a keyboard and a screen, and there's no repercussions,
Right.
and we can find out that there is repercussions to it, what with laws and the way people deal with things now, like doxing and things like that. It's not always as anonymous as you think. Um, you know, just get the facts. Get the facts, and that's all I'll say on that matter, mate.
Well, all I'll say on this matter is, look, if and I'm a, I am the foremost expert on my opinion, and I'll tell you this: as long as you're an honest broker, as long as you're doing things correctly and you can justify it, look, the internet doesn't forget anything. But leave your shit up and own it. Don't let twats, cunts, whoever, try to tell you their opinion and make you believe this. If you're doing something and you know it's justified, it's not illegal, immoral, or unethical, uh, guess what? Don't hide it. Don't lie. Always be honest because you will get a visit. And don't worry about it. And others can say what they want. But the three most freeing words are I don't care. And then the two freer words are fuck it. That's your key. And as long as you know you were justified and you were doing what you did, good on them. Oh, you're such a detective. I didn't hide it. You see what I'm saying, Baz? You don't care. People who
Yeah,
know,
that's it.
know you.
No, you don't. It's once you find that ability, and your way of life or your career, whatever your job, might not let you say that freely. Especially if you're in law enforcement or you're in the military or something like that. To say "fuck it, I don't care," it's quite difficult because you're living under quite I won't say a regime, but a very sort of restricted way of life. You can't have your own thoughts aired 24/7 because your thoughts might not align with your, let's say, inverted commas, company policy or
Exactly.
service values and standards. But once you're out of that forum, once you're outside the military, you're outside the law enforcement, outside your office job of a bank or something like that, it's just that freedom of just going, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? The only people that you answer to is to yourself and to your family. You know, and when I say
And
family, I mean close family, your
and to your
wife, your
God.
mum, your dad, your children, yeah,
And to
and
your
yeah,
God
and to whatever
if you believe
whatsoever
into
God
it.
you,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's don't give a fuck about what people say about you, you know. And the only time you have to respond to that is it's if it's going to affect your life to the extent where it's going to start branching out and affecting those around you,
It's just
and that's when
internet.
you need to start.
It's just internet
Yeah,
drama. And honestly,
yeah, just bullshit.
it's the left eating itself. You're seeing it with Ellen DeGeneres. You're seeing the right do the fucking same thing. And it just laugh about it, guys. You know, people can say whatever the fuck they want. They can call any of us whatever name they want. But guess what? We're both free. Our jobs are not contingent on your thoughts. You're not going to get people not to hire us and not to give us work because guess what? You don't have that power with the people we work with because we've proven ourselves. You're the one who relies on the government for a job. You're the one who relies on a corporation for a job. Oh, guess what? Who's the slave? It's not me. Is it you, Bass?
Nope. I think that the quicker you realise that everybody's reliant to somebody for something, you know what I mean? And it might not be you're reliant on the milkman to bring you milk in the morning. You're reliant for the postman to bring you post in the morning. You're relying, everybody's reliant on something for someone. The only people that aren't are those that live in Alaska with their own land, and the only thing that they need to rely on is the land, you know. And that might be an idyllic life for some, but for most people, 99.9% of the population of a civilized nation like the US and the UK, that's not the case. But I think it's when you sort of look at yourself and you say, okay, I need this. This is what I need in my life to be happy and to survive and to, you know, live a life every day. Once you realize that there's certain things that you cannot control and that what you can't control, it's just fuck it, fuck it. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Contingency, and that again, that's something that we've touched on to extremes over
Oh,
the past
yeah.
few shows. If it does go really wrong, but be prepared to live life less comfortable than you're living now. I'm not saying you have to go to the woods off the grid and
Right.
eat
That's all
fucking worms,
bullshit.
but
Yeah. Be a part of your
so
community. Yeah.
yeah,
Your actual community you live
but
in, not this internet
yeah,
community that's muff fake. And honestly, when as it does happen in this game, when you get a Jade card, guess what? MasterCard, Visa, nobody can bounce it. But nobody ever wants to talk about that, and I'm not going to talk about it today. But you know what we're talking about, and kind of makes
and I
me
think we don't need.
laugh.
I don't
Yeah,
think we need to talk it.
yeah,
Yeah, we don't need to talk about it because it when it first things like that first happen, it's sort of you look for like, oh my god, this, and this. But when you look at it, it's just minor drama, minor bullshit. That the grand scheme of things, looking from the outside, it's who fucking cares? I don't. Fuck it. And again, like you said there, it's the three words. There's only so much
yep.
people can do to you. They can't make you pregnant and they can't kill you. What's the worst they can do? You know what I mean? That's
The
it. We
worst
always
they
used
can
to say that in
do,
the army.
worst they
Fuck it.
can do is
They can't
eat you.
kill me and they can't make me pregnant.
Worst they
Yeah.
can do is eat you. And guess what?
Mm.
No dining in this kitchen. Kitchen's closed.
Wind down in '69.
There you go. Oh shit, that's from the 80s. Anyway, so with that being said, brother, we've had a good talk about bullshit and much bullshit and more bullshit, and loved it
Yeah.
and gave and spit
It's
a
been good to
lot of
talk.
truth and spit a lot of truth. So with that being said, you have any more final thoughts? Because I'm gonna close this down because I got one podcast coming up, and then this will follow shortly thereafter.
Shuffy's got shit to do. No, just thanks for having me on the Big Orange Sofa, mate. It's been a pleasure. Hope to speak again soon. Um, Responsibilities and commitments permitting. Again, it's been a pleasure, and I'll catch you all later.
And look forward to seeing you very soon. So, with that being said, thank you for sitting on my big orange couch, drinking your coffee, tea, soda, or adult libation. I'm going to slowly draw that bridge up, that drawbridge right up. Let you guys file out off my big orange couch. With that being said, thanks for listening. Shuff out.